Hi guys, how are you all doing? Welcome back. There is so much that if you know, you can make better decisions, informed decisions when you are doing DIY, right? So if you want to learn about DIY, doable DIY decor for your home, making informed decisions, go ahead and hit that subscription button and remember to turn on your bell notification icon. So with every new upload, you will be notified, right? In this video, we will be looking at 7, or you could even say 9 things that you need to know to make an informed decision when you are deciding on your window treatments, right? And so the first thing we are going to look at is F double and FL. Now, FW stands for finished width. FL stands for finished length. Now, your finished width and your finished length are the measurements that your window treatment will measure when you're done making it, right? So, for example, you have a curtain rod there, and those are your brackets there. And your window treatment starts from here to here, right? This area here will be your finish width. Along here will be your finished length. Now the opposite of FW and FL is CW and CL. CW stands for cut width. CL stands for cut length. Now your cut width and your cut length will be the measurement of your finished width and your finished length, plus all your hems and your seams, any increments that you need to add for what you're doing with the window treatment that you're making. Right? So CW plus, not plus, but and CL. CW is, we could say, equals to FW plus hems, seams, any other allowances, plus, very, very important, the fullness of your draperies, right? So plus the fullness of your draperies. CL would be the same thing. Cut length would be finished length plus hems, seams, allowances, and of course you wouldn't have your fullness going lengthwise, you would have it going widthwise. So that's the only difference here with your cut length. Now let's look at overlap. What is your overlap? Your overlap is the area between the two curtains where they meet and they overlap. Now this is a grommet curtain, so this does have an overlap, right? So if you look here, you will notice that there's this section that overlaps over the other section. Now, most curtains will have an overlap. However, curtains that have like a pocket heading or a tunnel top or a rod pocket will not usually have an overlap. Why? Because they butt up to each other at the middle of the curtain rod. They do not overlap, right? Now, the next thing is stack back. Stack back, the stack back space. Where is that? The stack back space is the space between the window and where your curtain rod ends over here, where your curtain sits, right? Yeah, so essentially your stack back space is where your draperies will sit, right? So you can actually have a stack back space that allows you to take the curtain off the window completely. However, there are situations where you may have to leave some of the curtain over the window. That is where your stack back space would start from, right? So it's essentially where your curtain panels sit when they are pulled back, right? Now, the next thing we want to look at is projection. Now, what is projection as it pertains to your draperies? It is how far out from the wall your draperies sit. So essentially, your projection will be the depth of your bracket that you use to mount your curtain rod. So your projection can be as far off the wall as that, or it can be closer to the wall. So this doesn't work. So you determine if you want your projection to be 2 inches, 3 inches, 4 inches from the wall. Now, usually if you have layered treatments and you're going to have something behind and behind, then you would want to have a deeper projection to accommodate for other draperies behind the front panels. Now, all these terms that we are using are terms that are used in the trade, and so even if you're not doing DIY, it's good to know these terms, because at least you will be knowledgeable when somebody else is doing it for you, right? And you'll be able to ask the right questions. So now let's look at return. What is return? Your return has a projection, but your projection doesn't have a return, right? Now we just look at the rod for the projection. No, not the rod, sorry. The bracket for the projection. Now for the return, we also have a bracket. However, this bracket here will sit on the wall, and then there will be a rod on the front section here. For some reason, I can't locate the rod for these brackets, but pretend you have a rod going across the front here. Now your draperies will come across the rod, and then they will return to the wall. Now, return to the wall, not return back. Return back would be redundant, right? So the bracket sits on the wall, the drapery comes across the front, and then return to the wall. Now, I say that your return always has a projection. And that is because, yeah, the bracket does project from the wall, right? However, your projection only does not have anything that allows the draperies to return to the wall. Now, the last thing we are going to look at is fullness. As it pertains to draperies, what is your fullness? Your fullness is how much pleat or gathers you have in your draperies, right? Now you can have a single fullness. A single fullness, usually when you put your panels together, it's essentially flat, right? Now I have these here temporarily. If you should look at this, this would look like maybe a 1.5 fullness, right? It's not a double fullness, because if it's a double fullness, then your cut width would start with 2 times your finished width, right? And so you will get more pleats or more gathers. You can do triple fullness, 3 times, 4 times fullness. So the more gathers and pleats you want is the more you have to up your fullness, right? 4, 5, yeah. And then you should be aware that is going to take more fabric. If you're doing it yourself, fine, you're DIYing. However, if you're taking that to a workroom, yeah, so it will cost you a pretty penny. Now, you may wonder why you need to know all this. As I said before, if you're not DIYing and you're going to somebody to do it for you, you'll be knowledgeable, right? So you can be able to communicate with the person that's going to be doing your draperies. Also, if you're DIYing, you need to know, okay, so I'm going to have a return here. So I have to make sure I add in the return in the calculation of my fabric. So, how much, sorry about that. So how much fullness do I want? Do I might want my draperies to be flat? By the way, this is just temporary. I'm still making draperies for several windows in my home, right? Yeah, so do I want like lots of gathers? Am I going to want pleats? What type of heading am I going to want? So you need to be aware of your fullness, right, in order to do your calculation. Your step back space. You need to know, okay, do I want my draperies to sit all the way off my window? Then maybe I have to make sure that my rod go far back enough from the window so I have that space to take the draperies off the window so that I will let more light in, right? So yeah, every one of these terms that we have just looked at, they are important. Thank you so much for being here, guys. Please drop it in the comments. Let me know what you think. Leave your questions there also. Remember now, subscribe before you leave and like and share. Thank you so much again. I will see you again soon.